Okay, now I'm going to do a quick discussion adding to the recollection of the foregone conclusion, inevitable prophecy about the concerns of destruction and the danger our country faces from Xi Jinping. The memory now is in America, it's called the fluke bomb. And it was called the fluke bomb film, and it was something that was removed that was a real concern to our conscience. And if I remember correctly, there was a time when in America there may have been a small clip of the film. And the singular thing I noticed was this. In the film of the prophecy of the destruction, it seemed to be varied moves like America and China were going back and forth with the Glock bell iterations. And like the Chinese did some tricky move where they did Glock belled themselves out. It was like, I'll put it this way, they used the Glock bell to cause the 500 bombs, missiles, with the warheads to not appear at all. And then they Glock belled all the warheads back into appearance right when the bombs reached the American shore. Literally struck Los Angeles without warning. Now, that was one part of the fluke bomb prophecy that I don't know if it was ever seen. But they literally used the Glock bell to literally cover up. It was as if they put the missiles in a time phase shift of some kind, traveling across the Pacific Ocean, and then brought them shift back, and they came up and appeared literally just when they exploded into the first bombs hit Los Angeles and Wasatch or whatever, hit the coastal city, San Diego. So that was my memory, but they were called the fluke bombs. And the other thing was that every single U.S. warship was struck with one of these bombs that they weren't taken seriously. The other problem was the American military chose the fateful decision not to aim machine gun fire, high power caliber, or explosive shells, but rather missiles like Hellfire. It was the fateful decision, and in the video, the Chinese said, "Good, this works for us," because the fluke bombs had swastika propellers just like my runes that were magnetic, and it caused every sort of missile and anti-aircraft fire to flip over or under the missiles. And it also caused the missiles to go maglev, so they literally levitated just above the ground in some perfect way because of their differential of magnetics while they spun with the swastika as a propeller. It had swastika-type propellers. I don't know if it was a swastika, a celestial rune, or a god rune. Swastika is 2 arms, 2 bends. Celestial's 3, god rune's 4. But the point is this. This is the things in the film I saw that were horrifying because too much of it was a fluke. And the other thing was, when you watch the prophetic film, the bombs look like rinky-dink Chinese garbage. Okay, it would look like flying Chinese food because they were like flopping around and they looked like flying junkers. So they literally had the appearance of being a fucking joke. Okay, I called it the Trump Lowell. Okay, the trick of the eye. It was called the evil trick of the eye. Okay, the fluke bombs. So basically, with the spinning propellers built on the principle of the rune and magnetic, it gave these flying missiles the ability to keep pace with the surface of the ground on the lowest possible level without striking in a way that a missile couldn't, because it just depended on sheer levitation and distance, field strength, and where anything was on the ground. The gravity, okay? So they literally were spinning at a perfect height, undetectability, silence, and for some reason the magnetic fields in the runes caused every single missile aimed at them to miss. And you watch in the film, a Hellfire would come right at, or a missile meant to shoot down these missiles from the Americans at 10 times the speed, and the doggone fluke Chinese bomb would literally flip up over the missile and it wouldn't miss. Why? Because the field of the swastika and the rune in it caused it, and the maglev effect caused it to literally repel, confuse, and bounce away from the missile. So it looked like they were going to nail us, and not one bomb got hit. it was like, it was the fluke bomb issue with the Chinese sneak attack, preemptive attack in this prophecy that got us destroyed in this ancient film. It was the scariest part because everything looked like a joke. And you saw the U.S. military, even when the bombs all went off, because each one was only about one or two kilotons. And you heard the military say, we can handle this. And literally, when the 500th bomb hit New York, it was like a super bomb. And it caused, like I said, an absolute firestorm to swing back, and the entire continental U.S. erupted in a firestorm. So everything was surprise, trick of the eye, and the fluke bomb effect of using the magnetic rune on the bombs. Once again, this was in the prophecy, and the problem was trying to explain this. You run the risk of the wrong people listening. And the problem is also, y'all don't give me a choice because as a black man, you guys won't listen because you're too busy listening to an idiot like Trump. So I have to basically throw this out there on the internet to try to save my country on what I knew I saw. And as you can listen to me, I'm telling you, the Chinese fluke bomb concept was diabolical because when they flew, they looked like a fucking joke. They literally looked like a joke. It looked like some kind of flying piece of Chinese garbage. Like they were making jokes about. The people actually made fun of the bombs as they passed over the missiles because they look like fluky things. They call fluke bombs. But literally, as it flew, it literally would keep pace at this certain height with the ground in a way that a missile with radar couldn't, but because it did it silently. And like I said, the magnetic field it generated literally caused it to repel missiles and also confuse them. Not one of these fluke bombs got struck. And you watch the fluke bombs, missiles fly up to a fluke bomb, and the fluke bomb, because of the magnetic field, would literally like this, like say, this is the antimatter or the anti-aircraft or anti-missile. And so the fluke bomb would fly up, and it literally would just go like this. And the guys were like, what the fuck? Because they had never seen anything like it. Because of the technology of the use of the rune and its effect and the maglev effect on top of it, had a maglev and propeller effect. And that was the bizarre thing because they did not know that the propellers were fully magnetized. So it did both. And because of the field that was generating, it literally caused the missiles with their metallic content to it would literally just flip around it. And it looked like the goofiest, flukiest shit you ever saw. And it was like, at first you were like, this is a crock. And it was like, And then you're like, oh shit. It was like the tension never got you of this carpet bombing of our continental U.S. until the last bomb. It blew up over New York I think it might have been lithium enhanced, but it was like kaboom because they thought it was going to be another little bomb. And then it was, so it was like, it was this wicked element of surprise, the trick, the trompe l'oeil to the whole attack. And so the problem was, in the film, Biden and the Masons, because of a lot of things I've been discussing, were being tracked and watched, and they literally had put a fake facade of the White House up in the mountain where the president goes to hide. And so everyone thought that he was still at the White House because they were selling out. They had done this deliberately to avoid getting prosecuted and destroyed as Masons because of all the revelations coming out about their treachery, because there was an uproar. Okay? And so at the same time, the doggone attack occurred at the end, right when the continental U.S. was being burned and literally everyone was dying. Biden and all the Masons and the traitors and many members of the Klan were in this underground bunker, and the last missile flew right up through some sort of portal or path and hit Biden right in the face. It was called instant karma. The same bomb one of the bombs that blew up Canada. It was the wickedest film you ever saw. It was wicked. The thing was what? The fluke bomb. And like I said, I don't know if it's ever been something discussed in the continental U.S., but it seemed like it was a subject at one time that was wiped away. But the fluke bomb, the Chinese fluke bomb, is a scary concept, and it's something that needs to be known and aware of, okay? It needs to be discussed. It needs to be confronted. But I said the thing that was using anti-aircraft missiles was the mistake. The problem was they needed to be shot down with extremely high power rifle and gunfire because it didn't give like waves of firing. Like the metallic, it didn't give the only, I think maybe one missile might have been shot down. It was with machine gun fire, Gatling gun, high speed, high fire. It was the only way to shoot them down. The American military made the mistake of using missiles, and by the time they realized it, it was too late. Now that's one big T I saw in the movie as well, because they did see the bombs once they reached the West Coast. But the funny thing, the bombs did not show up because of the Glock bell move China did until it was literally right at the shore, which was also another form of deception. It also did the same thing, and the bombs literally destroyed the entire U.S. military. These bombs literally struck us because they just looked like a joke, and they were so inconspicuous and stealth. But like I said, because of the use of the nuclear cell fuel, the swastika, that as a propeller and also as a magnetic room. So it had the force of a plane and then the force power also of maglev. But it was like going this way. It may have had a top propeller, so I don't know. But like I said, the things look so damn goofy that the military disregarded it. Yeah. They were like, what? They were looking at it like, what the fuck is this shit? And it was like the panic did not reach the proper level to react until it was too late. And it literally seemed like the more the bombs were moving across the continental U.S., the faster they are. So it was some kind of super calculated plan, and it worked. So this is what I saw. I'm doing this discussion because I'm adding to my memory. But like I said, they were called the fluke bombs. At some point, it was a real discussion. I don't know if this was an ancient iteration, but if you get my gist, you understand what I'm talking about. They were called Chinese fluke bombs because they literally look like a flying junker. And at first, the American military was like, what the fuck is this crap? And you watch, and then it was boom, and the fucking shit was blown to bits. Because the bomb looked like a joke, and it was a nuclear war. It looked like you would have never known that was a low-level nuclear war. The deceptive the trick of the eye of these fluke bombs was devastating. Now, that's what I remember, and that's something to be concerned about as well.